I think that now we can open the discussion, but first I would like to acknowledge some other words that we heard, like resilience and self-awareness, this profound need to be self-aware. And we know from yesterday that mindfulness is one of the key points to be more happy. And maybe sometimes it's true that on the phones we are not completely mindful of our body.
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely pro to create more mindfulness activities. But now I will just give you the opportunity to ask some questions. Yes.
I just want to say that was so fantastic. Both of you are such legends in this space. My question was about movement building. And, sometimes there's a tension, thank you, with movement building around setting a specific goal, right? How much by when? And so for Project Happiness, maybe it's something like get this curriculum in 50% of schools by 2035. I don't know. I'm curious if you've thought about specific goals like that, or do you feel that it's more important that we're not so specific with goals?
Well, it's nice to have specific goals. It's really great. But then, we are in this ecosystem and we have to get to know what it is, where the needs are, and also really in regarding education, for example, where the champions are. We found that people who were like the psychologists or the school counselors were the ones that were advocating for this. And I know that you're exploring a top-down approach to getting massive support from the top. In terms of a goal, I don't know. It happens organically, I would say, and don't be so attached to outcome, because that can promote frustration and you lose your motivation. So, yeah.
I'd like to add to that. I agree with you, Randy. I feel like when you're doing the work is so important that if you try to put metrics outside, especially when you're doing something that in a way hasn't really been done before.
Yes.
And maybe you think it's going to be these countries or these areas, and then these other ones are the ones that want it. And so I'm always a believer in going where you're wanted, so, or where the ears are open and low-hanging fruit. And so I think movements also have to be flexible in that way and innovative, and that's what I found.
Yeah.
I would also say it requires a lot of courage to start and initiate these movements. So that's definitely something very inspiring. And I have a question. So according to your experience so far, what are the main challenges to promote happiness in your activities today?
If you want, I'll start. So the misconception about what happiness is, and also about, the pro-social behaviors that we're talking about, and the skill sets, they're called soft. And so naturally we think that soft is a nice to have, but it's not essential, or maybe that it's not powerful, when in reality, these are the skills that really make us human, And so for some reason I think, tended to know them more intuitively before, but now we actually have to train for them. But it's so worthwhile doing, because the benefits are from, health, connection, learning. You can't learn if you're stressed out, whether you're a kid or at work. You can't innovate. You can't solve the challenging problems that we're faced with today. So it's really important.
Yeah. On that note, I'll just expand. Sometimes the kids come into classes these days and they are so stressed out from the whole comparison thing on social media. They feel less than, not enough. It gnaws at their self-esteem. It's actually tragic. So what we did was we put a big awe image onto the whiteboard, and then they had to imagine themselves in that scenario. What would it feel like? What would it look like? And then their whole brains could relax, and they were open to learning after that. Didn't take long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love the fact that we finally talk about children and teens in a positive way. So how to promote happiness and well-being by learning a skill, because that is something, there are skills and activities that can be learned to promote well-being. And I don't know if there is any other question from the public. Yeah.
Can I say that in Italian and you can translate?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't have it, but you translate.
Secondo voi c'è una differenza tra felicità e gioia?
Do you think?
Perché per me la gioia è uno stato d'animo che va oltre le circostanze e la felicità invece è un evento, qualcosa che può avvenire all'improvviso. Se per voi c'è una differenza oppure è la stessa cosa?
Do you think that there is a difference between happiness and joy?
So I think that mostly joy is recognized with the feeling, right? Just the feeling of the positive emotion. And I think happiness, we've gone into like subjective well-being, right? But I think that's not, and the reason I like the word happiness is because it's something that is in our vernacular, and subjective well-being is maybe not something that we use in everyday language. And so it gives you kind of like a distance from the word. And so I don't know what you will have to say.
I would consider happiness a word that is an umbrella term, because underneath we have, gratitude, we have mindfulness, kindness, love, all these positive, universal values that transcend religion. So that is happiness. And for me, joy has to do with connecting with other people in meaningful ways, and also that aspect of pro-social, caring, giving, whatever. That is something that no one can ever take away because it stays in your heart.
Yeah. Thank you.
I would like to ask, there was a little girl speaking about her inner being. So there is a spiritual side that you are creating, trying to grow inside these children. How is this approach welcomed by the families?
I think it was very sneaky how we got the families involved. For example, they had to do gratitude work. Not just the kids, the parents had to do the homework to reinforce the skills, but really we were trying to educate the parents. So the idea of infusing spiritual or uplifting tools, we could never say that in a school environment. We could never say anything to do with spirituality. But more in science-based happiness tools. So that's the approach that we came with, but I will share with you from the very beginning, the motivation was to elevate and give them some, spiritual tools or capacities so they would know themselves in a deeper way and be able to be more fully resilient in life.
And thinking about tools, I wanted to ask to Karen, is there any testimonials or stories of them that would you like to share with us?
So, people maybe think that the audience that comes to the summit is just an audience of happy people, right? And so it's in different levels of your happiness journey. And so we've had amazing testimonials. Several have been involved in knowing themselves after being in an event, and it's a 2-day event. That it's really a transformational experience. I'm not sure how it happens, because one of the things, the downside of organizing is that I don't get to be a participant fully of it. So, but we've had very serious testimonials. Like one lady came to me in 2022 and I was running around and I almost didn't have time, but she said, this is very quick, it's less than a minute. And she said, I just want to tell you that when I came here in 2019, I was suicidal. And not only because she came to the event, but her awareness was raised. She saw that there were tools, that there were frameworks. She went into a training. She did the work. She did the neuroplasticity, the mindset, all of the things you have to do, like if you were combating a physical illness. And she says, I have to tell you that since then I haven't been depressed. And I want to thank you. So, you know, those are stories. So when we talk about collective impact, it's so important. But for me personally, it's about every single person. It's about the individual. It's about making that impact on one person at a time. And then it has become collective through the participants who raise it to another level and expand it.
Yeah, so beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Thank you so much for the presentations, both of you. What I wanted to comment on is that I really resonate personally and also professionally about how you speak about the happiness as a choice, as a decision. Because then after the decision comes the action. And this is where the true transformation kicks in. So thank you for spreading and promoting happiness as an action, and also telling people that we have power. We have power to do something
Absolutely.
about it, using the power of soft skills. So thank you.
Very nice. Very nicely said.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also another positive thing that we have heard is the role of digital technology in a more positive way. So you both have digital platforms and apps. So maybe I would like to know, everyone, I think, would like to know what they can find in the app and how they can use that as a tool to promote well-being.
Well, there, you know, are digital courses. There is curriculum. There are, you know, ways that people can get involved just for their own happiness journey. And then I truly believe that as one person gets activated, as, you know, we're all planting seeds, emotions are contagious, happiness is contagious, and then their family will be affected, their greater circle, and so on.
Yes.
You, Karen, I know you also share scientific content.
Yes, so the presentations from the speakers at the summit, so the content is really amazing because the speakers are amazing, and so their expertise is there, and we have that through our app or through our YouTube channel. So we're continuously putting new content there or new interviews, and we continue to innovate and to see what people are looking for in different themes that they're looking for, and people want to have it in different languages. Et cetera, et cetera. And so it has been a great way to also amplify the message and the science beyond just the conference itself.
Yeah. And can you see the different ages of the users? Like, can you see more younger than older, or what do you see?
I would have to say we have our school cohort, and that's not only the students, but also the teachers are affected. It uplifts the organization. And then on social media, we have of every age. I have one letter of this woman thanking us for the daily messages. She says they're like spiritual devotionals to her, and they have helped her throughout this journey over the years with her kids' mental challenges, and now the passing of her mother. So you have kids passing it to their parents, parents passing it to the kids, multi-generational things, because we are aiming at universal principles that transcend any age.
Is there any other question? Yes.
Ciao, devo dire che sono nata e cresciuta in Brasile con una realtà molto povera, e se devo riassumere questi momenti fino a 20 anni ed ero molto felice, quindi non sono proprio sicura che sia un fattore specifico economico come è stato detto ieri. Ovviamente che l'economia del benessere è importante perché così avrei avuto tante belle opportunità, e è successo con me come con la signora Karen, dopo una perdita. Anch'io ho dovuto scegliere come continuare avanti, come ed essere più felice. Vivevo già in Svizzera e volevo chiedere, è impossibile non affrontare il dolore, però è possibile anche accontentarsi con gratitudine di ciò che si ha. Quindi faccio un paragone di quando ero piccola. Invece quando ho deciso in questa mia perdita, un momento buio, di affrontare, di andare avanti. Oggi insegno anche a mia figlia che il dolore fa parte, però sono d'accordo con la ragazza che ha detto prima, c'è anche in mezzo al dolore ci sono questi momenti di gioia, e la mia domanda finale è quali sono gli strumenti che sostenete possibile per che non diventa la felicità un'utopia, però saper affrontare in mezzo al dolore i piccoli momenti di accontentamento e gioia. Grazie.
Well, first, I'm sorry that you experienced that loss, and I was born in Nicaragua, so I know a little bit about, seeing socioeconomic differences in at scale in person. I think that we need to give people permission to have the whole gamut of human experience, the whole spectrum. And we need to stop judging and identifying people through just one episode in their lives or one, or even ourselves. The narratives that we tell ourselves about ourselves are so important. And so you were saying failure. Well, guess what? Humans learn through trial and error. So you can call it a failure or you can call it learning. And it's also not to shy away from building resilience. Like, life will have challenges. And so one of the questions that I thought was a silly question that I've been asked is, well, if you're just promoting happiness, aren't you going to make people weak, right? And don't you need to prepare them for life? And it's like, life takes care of itself. Like, life will happen whether you want it to or not, in small, medium, or large ways. And sometimes it's your turn, just because it is. So there's no other reason. Then it's just your time to face something really, really challenging. And so what I think is really important, and perhaps you had this as a child, was, nurture your relationships. So, hopefully we can be good parents to our kids. We can be good partners to our spouses. We can be good co-workers using these soft skills, right? So that we can create systems and environments where then people can make the individual choice and the responsibility, because yes, you are responsible for your own happiness, but the systems are, I think, responsible at least not to block your happiness. And so if we can have this way to understand success, understand what we're telling our children. So again, if you tell a child, I love you whichever way you are and whatever you do, but get into, a top Ivy League university, then we have to understand the message we're giving them. And by the way, with children, it's not only what you say, it's what you do. So if you are creating environments where there's psychological safety and there's all these, pro-social behaviors, then I think resiliency happens naturally because you have these inner building blocks. And so when life happens, you can recuperate and grow.
Absolutely. And the idea of, holding all of the emotions. You know, life is, it's full of all sorts of emotions. So what we are teaching is emotional resilience, so you can come back to this skill set again and again. And in time, through the practice of these tools, we develop the neuroplasticity so that our happiness level is actually, it is higher, and the recovery time is faster than before, and then we can model that for the people around us. And you know, life, the changes happen inside of us first, and then it ripples out. So you can hold it all as a human being, the sorrow and the joy. As a tool, I would go back to the objective meditation. It's not just for anger, it's also for grief. It's a very fast way to reduce the charge. But you're doing great, and just asking those excellent questions just shows that you're right on your path. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Karen and Randy.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you.